Georgia have arrested a man accused of killing 2 teenagers earlier this week. 20-year-old Jeffrey Hazelwood is charged with 2 counts of murder. The bodies of 2 victims, 17-year-old Natalie Henderson, Carter Davis, were found outside a grocery store. Both had been shot in the head. The relationship between Hazelwood and the...
This is the battle making headlines probably in all media outlets. Here west of Aleppo, the Syrian army has been successfully repelling a major terrorist attack on its positions that has been ongoing for several days. We are standing on the front line before the 1070 residential quarter in Aleppo, which is partly occupied by terrorists. The Syrian army is heavily striking the terrorists' positions here. The Syrian army's air force and artillery destroyed 3 of the terrorists' tanks, along with 2 armored vehicles. The battle just kept raging on for hours. Terrorists launched their attack from Al-Rashidin Rab'a area towards the residential quarter of 1070 and pushed ahead to parts of it, along with the Hikma building. This is regarded by the terrorists as the 3rd phase of their offensive.
Here we monitor the supply line of terrorists between the Hikma building and the 1070 quarter. Terrorists in the quarter are trapped because our troops on the ground are encircling them. We will strike and kill them.
The aim of the terrorists' operation was to target army positions west of Aleppo and infiltrate into the government-held parts of the city. They also wanted to cut off the army's only road out of Aleppo. So far, terrorists have failed to achieve any of their goals.
Florida is the first state in the U.S. to have locally transmitted cases of the Zika virus. The state rakes in billions of dollars from the more than 100 million visitors that go there every year. So now it may be facing a major financial challenge, trying to keep tourism up despite Zika fears. CBS News travel editor Peter Greenberg joins me now from Chicago. Peter, what kind of impact are you expecting Zika to have on Florida's tourism? What's the real economic concern here?
Well, it already is having that impact right now because you deal with short-term and long-term bookings. Most Americans are booking 6 months ahead for their winter trips, and you may not see a lot of advanced bookings because of that fear. You have a lot of short-term cancellations from European travelers whose own countries are basically telling them they may not want to go to Florida. That's happening, but the most significant impact will not be among just tourists, it's meetings and conventions in cities like Orlando and Miami. That is the very big business aspect of it, and that's what the state officials are really worried about, losing that really big chunk of change. And the problem is a lot of the people who actually book these trips tend to paint geography with a rather broad stroke, meaning that they're not looking at that small community in Miami. They're looking at Orlando, and they're looking at other parts of the state that may not even be affected or may never be affected, and that's what they're worried about.
Which could have wide-ranging impacts. And how long do you think it would take Florida's economy to recover from that kind of thing?
Well, you don't recover from revenue you can't recoup. So it's a matter of how much you're going to lose. It's not about how do you recover, it's how much you're going to lose, and then you deal with it 6 to 9 to 12 months out, because that's how these bookings are done. We're already seeing a drop-off in reservations in Florida now from people who are going to be coming over from Europe. But most Americans right now that have made their plans for the summer are sticking with them. It's the ones that are looking at November, December, January, the high season. Those are the ones that are getting scared right now.
All right, I'm going to put you in the role of everybody's wise uncle. If people are planning a trip to Disney World, which is in Orlando, not even close to Miami, should they be worried about the Zika virus, and should travelers heading to Florida cancel their plans?
They should be concerned and not worried. What Dr. John LaPook said and what you talked about in the earlier reports about standing water applies not just to Miami, it applies to the entire state and all the other states that could be affected. Remember, we're talking about a disease that travels, and it doesn't know any boundaries right now. But you have things you can do to basically mitigate it and then allow yourself to have some common sense in terms of your own personal protection, the clothing that you wear and where you wear your socks, where you put the DEET on in terms of the protection on your skin, how you put it on, how often you put it on, especially if you're going in the water or going in the ocean.
JetBlue said this week that travelers to destinations affected by Zika, including Miami, can qualify for a refund or change their plans. Cruise ships leave ports from Florida, and it's a major international hub for people who don't want to cancel their vacation plans. Is there anything they can do to protect themselves and help prevent the spread of the virus?
Well, there is. In situations like this, the airlines have issued waivers, as JetBlue has done. And the cruise lines is a different situation because they have rather draconian refund policies, and that's where you cut in with cancellation and trip interruption insurance, which anybody can buy. The real problem is, and the insurance companies are kind of cagey about this, it's sort of like buying fire insurance after your second floor bedroom was already on fire. It's like weather insurance after a hurricane has already been named by the National Weather Service. So you have to check your policy carefully in the language of that policy on that trip cancellation and interruption policy to make sure that it doesn't cover this in terms of was it already announced, was a warning already issued. Once a warning is already issued, you may not be able to buy an insurance policy that will cover you.
Good evening. Scott is off tonight. I'm Maurice Dubois. President Obama warned Congress today. Money is rapidly running out for the battle against Zika, even as more Americans become infected. The situation, he said, is critical.
A lot of folks talk about protecting Americans from threats. Well, Zika is a serious threat to Americans, especially babies, right now. So once again, I want to urge the American people to call their members of Congress and tell them to do their job. Deal with this threat, help protect the American people from Zika.
The air war against mosquitoes carrying the virus began today in South Florida. Planes are spraying insecticide in the Miami neighborhood where officials say at least 15 people were infected by local mosquitoes. David Begnaud is there.
Today's aerial assault in a 10-mile radius around the Zika zone was effective. That's according to Dr. Tom Frieden, director of the CDC.
Aerial spraying is quicker than the truck-based spraying and reaches many places that truck-based and hand-based spraying can't reach.
Florida's Governor Rick Scott announced a 10-block area in the northwest corner of the Zika zone has been cleared.
We're very comfortable that we are not seeing any active cases there.
In reviewing the results of today's aerial spraying, the CDC director says a check of mosquito traps revealed the vast majority were killed using the insecticide Nailed. 1 fluid ounce was sprayed per acre. EPA guidance on Nailed says it poses no health risks to people, but environmental groups point to animal studies showing higher doses affected the nervous system and caused skin damage. Those fears were evident on social media today. Lynn from Seattle tweeted, "Crazy subjecting millions of people to harsh chemical pesticides when you've got 15 people without symptoms."
Nailed is
less potent.
Dr. Eileen Marty is an infectious disease doctor at Florida International University.
Is Nalin bad in the context and the dose that's being used behind that plane?
The dose is so low and so fine a mist that it's almost impossible, not totally impossible, but almost impossible for any human to have any significant effect in the way that they're spraying and at the heights that it's being sprayed.
No decision has been made on when to resume that aerial spraying. Maurice, the most important thing people in South Florida can do tonight is clear standing water around your home, even the tiniest amount, because this is the type of mosquito that can breed in even a bottle cap.
It certainly is. David Begnaud in Miami tonight. And we have posted a lot more information about Zika on our website.
The air attack on mosquitoes began early Thursday morning. The city of Miami-Dade attempting to halt the spread of mosquitoes carrying the Zika virus.
We're taking it very seriously.
From the ground to high in the skies. Intense spraying taking place in the Wynwood area of Miami, also known as ground zero of the outbreak.
They have been testing 1,000 mosquitoes a day, and they have not found a single one that is contaminated.
It's serious enough. It's been 3 days since the CDC issued an unprecedented travel ban, telling pregnant women to stay away from that Miami neighborhood after the state health department confirmed 15 local cases of Zika infection directly from mosquito bites, the panic creating a frozen zone for tourism in one of Miami's most popular neighborhoods, causing fear amongst expectant mothers and harming business revenues.
I think that, the perception is as bad as the reality when it comes to something like this.
Mosquito inspectors since Tuesday hunting for any breeding areas for the insects so they can destroy them. The state spending more than $26 million to stop the spread of Zika, but demanding help from the federal government.
Please, let's not lose focus of the fact there's $300 million sitting there waiting to be spent.
Florida governor is making Zika testing available for pregnant women statewide for free. Meanwhile, aerial spraying will continue every 7 days for the next.
Can I help you?
Yeah.
Why you flashing me?
Yeah.
You need some help?
I mean, yeah, you flew right by me. You better come over here real quick. I can't hear you. The reason why I was trying to pull you over was, I mean, you flew right by me.
Okay.
Right? And, I mean, you're going pretty fast back there.
All right.
Are you in an emergency or something?
I apologize, sir. I didn't mean to.
I mean, like I said, like, to me, I feel like, you know, people get tickets for that all the time. And, I mean, like, are you in, like, an emergency or something like that?
Sir, I apologize, sir.
You apologize?
Yes, sir.
What's your name and badge number?
I don't have it on me.
You don't have it?
No, sir.
You don't have a name, badge number?
I don't have it on me, sir, all right?
You don't have
I apologize.
You don't have a badge number or anything?
I do.
Okay, what's your badge number?
That badge number.
And your last name? You have a business card?
No, sir, I don't have anything on.
All right, you mind if I get a picture of your license plate?
Go ahead.